Hello everyone, this is Brenda, day 12 of the 21-day program, video number 12, and this is about my why. Why do I do what I do? As a child, I was one of 3 children born to parents post-war, brought up in a very Victorian household where children believed they should be seen and not heard. We sat on straight back chairs. We weren't allowed to speak unless we were spoken to, and we were only spoken to be told off or criticised. I think that was fairly general in those days. However, from that, I grew up to believe that I couldn't speak up for myself. I certainly couldn't say no, and that if I was very good, I wouldn't get into trouble, and I might even get loved. And this sort of worked to some degree. I still got into trouble. My dad was very strict with us. If we spoke or we made a noise, you know, we could get hit or screamed or yelled at. So I did adapt this behaviour so that I didn't get into trouble. However, I was still behaving in that way at the age of 50. My company loved me. I didn't say no to anything they asked me to do. I worked 80 odd hours every week. I never spoke up for myself, and I tried to do my job perfectly so I wouldn't get into trouble. And that took its toll on me. I was working 80 hours a week non-stop just so as I wouldn't get into trouble. Laughable now. But this was the unconscious mind that was working, keeping me out of trouble. And my brothers and sisters have obviously got their own stories, but for me, being brought up in that kind of household led me to my immune system to completely break down, total burnout, spent 8 years bedbound. However, fortunately for me, I found a way to recover, and now I want to tell everybody about it. Once I recovered from ME, I started to look into my background and discovered that my father's mother had committed suicide when he was a little boy, and his family, his siblings, had to go back to stay with what my dad called wicked grandmother, and his father went away to work. So my dad, as a child, had a very unhappy childhood. How does a child deal with their mother committing suicide and then to be left with someone who didn't really want to look after them where their father went away? My dad missed out on love, nurturing and cherishing. So how could he give it to his children? He couldn't, could he? It wasn't his to give. There's a great quote in Graham Greene's book, Brighton Rock. The brain cannot conceive of something it has no experience of. My dad didn't know how to give those things to us. I'm sure he loved us. My mum and dad loved us in their own way. We had food, we were clothed, we were looked after. But the nurturing side of it, neither of them had any idea how to do that for us. And when my dad came back from the war after being a prisoner of war, I mean, he needed help. He also needed help as a child. You know, my dad desperately needed help. And we as children really struggled being the children of somebody who needed help. So that's what I do, why I do what I do. I do what I do for people like my dad. Our prisons and our schools are full of people like my dad who needed help. I do this work that I do for children of people like my dad and for me. I do this work that I do for my children so that they can watch me and see that I now have a life that I love, and that anything is possible for me. There isn't anything I can't do. And I do this for my brothers and sisters who were also on the receiving end of quite a lot of emotional and physical abuse, which in those days just used to go by the by. It was just accepted. So I also do this work for everybody who's willing to listen. Everybody needs to know that it doesn't matter what has happened to you in your life, there is a way, and I am proof of that. Here I am, fit and healthy. I run 10k every day. There isn't anything I can't do. So anyone who's willing to listen to me, I will tell them that you can change, you can have a life you love. And you know what? I cannot not do this. It would be unforgivable for me not to pass on what I know. I accept that it isn't for everybody, and not everybody wants to listen. But my job in life, I firmly believe this is what I was put here to do, to pass on what I have learned so that other people can have a life they love. I am so passionate about what I do. There's no way I could ever stop doing it. So that's why I do what I do. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again tomorrow. Bye bye.